Well, for more on the political fallout of this, we spoke to Robert Kelly. He's a professor in the Department of Political Science and Diplomacy at the Busan National University.
North Korea has had nuclear weapons for a while. This is now the fourth major North Korean nuclear test. The bigger issue, I think, is not so much that they have nuclear power. It's one, is this actually a step up from an atomic to a hydrogen bomb? That's a big qualitative jump, which we're not sure yet if they've done that. And the second question is, can they shrink these weapons enough to put them on top of a missile? Nuclear weapons are rather large. The warheads are quite big. If you go back and you look at the pictures of the warheads the Americans used in World War II, they're very large. So the trick then is to shrink them so you can put them on top of a missile. And that's what people are really worried about. If you can missileize these things, then you can send them very far, right? In some cases, the North Koreans have said they could strike the United States.
Robert, this is the first major test of a powerful weapon under Kim Jong-un. Why do you think that he has attempted this now?
Yeah, I think there are two possible reasons, and we're not sure yet. The first is South Korea will have parliamentary elections in 3 months. And North Korea has a history of trying to influence South Korean elections through bullying tactics like this. The second thing is that North Korea's relationships right now with both South Korea and China are sort of in a limbo. They're sort of frozen. And so this might be a good time if you're North Korea, why not just kick out this test? If you need to get rid of it, you need to do it. You need technical information from it. This is a good time to do it because the costs are very low. The Chinese, the South Koreans, and the Americans are currently not engaging with North Korea, so there's not much to lose by doing it now.
Robert, you mentioned China there, who has previously backed North Korea in the past. What kind of position does this put them in now?
An awkward one. China is always sort of in a weird position when the North Koreans do these kinds of things. Much of the world thinks that China has a lot of power and sway over North Korea. This isn't really very clear. The Chinese do have a great deal of investment in North Korea, and the Chinese help to keep the North Korean regime afloat by defending it at the UN, by allowing sanctions busting and things like that. But the Chinese have had a very difficult time getting North Koreans to follow their lead, right? The Chinese have been telling the North Koreans not to nuclearize for more than a decade, and the North Koreans just don't listen. The North Koreans just don't want to become a satellite of China. And so there's a lot of tension in this relationship. And it's just not really clear that the Chinese can actually get the North Koreans to pull over.
And bringing other nations into the fold, the UN Security Council is meeting later today in New York. What do you see is coming out of that meeting?
Well, there'll be an important statement, and then it will put Russia and China on the spot as to whether or not they should speak against North Korea. This is always very difficult for North Korea and for China and Russia, because protecting North Korea has been sort of a useful way for them to put their finger in the eye of their local opponents like the Americans and the Japanese. And so diplomatically, this always puts especially China sort of in an awkward position. But it won't actually change very much. North Korea is already under sanction. North Korea has somehow, despite all the sanctions and the embargoes and the rest, managed to build these weapons. And so it's not clear to me that the UN can do a great deal more. But the moral sanction of the global body speaking against North Korea is important. This is an important way for the United States, Japan, and South Korea to tell China, look, you've just got to get on board with this. The rest of the world thinks this is very dangerous.